Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge, and today we have West Side Story. This is the 2021 version, not the one from 1961, 60 years after the original film, based on a musical, based on a book. This is 2 hours and 39 minutes. Yeah, it is a long one. It seems to have taken over most of my night. I don't know. Yeah, it seems like it. Yeah, okay, it's taken a while. But yeah, this is directed. This is probably one of the first movies you'll realize that Steven Spielberg. You forgot that Steven Spielberg made. Yes, it came out during the pandemic. Of course, so we didn't really necessarily go rushing out to theaters in a lot of parts of the country, especially here in California, where we go to the movies almost professionally. Some people get paid to go to the movies living out here, and there's no shortage of theaters. But when there's a pandemic on, we're slow to open them up. And I guess the rest of the country, I don't know if they saw it at all or saw much of it anyway. But yeah, again, there's always that trepidation of going, oh, do I want to see a remake of a classic? Because yeah, West Side Story is a classic. It is a story, a big musical, romantic, big romantic musical tragedy. I'm gonna say it's tragedy. Why is it a tragedy? Well, it has some pretty firm roots in Romeo and Juliet. Uh, let's just say that without giving away too much. It's not one to one. It doesn't match up with the whole Romeo and Juliet story exactly, uh, but it's not far off. Let's just say. Stars Ansel Elgort. You'll remember him from Baby Driver, Edgar Wright film, as Tony, and Rachel Zegler as Maria. Now, Rachel Zegler in the Natalie Wood role. Uh, this is basically a 1957 era New York City. It's the West Side of New York City. It's a story about the West Side of New York City. Um, in a time when there's a little bit of gentrification going on after the war, tearing down neighborhoods on that west side. It's populated by a lot of Puerto Rican families and a lot of other white immigrants as well from Poland and Italy and things like that. It's the white guys are kind of just the white guys in a sense. They're the Jets, and the rival gang is the Sharks, and they are the Puerto Rican uh, gang. So, honestly, if you've never heard of West Side Story, I'm not really sure what level to really describe this to you, because it's hard to have not heard of or seen references to West Side Story. Is probably the most spoofed of any musical ever in existence. Maybe Annie, a little bit more, but I mean, there's so many references in The Simpsons, of course, and pretty much any animated comedy that you can ever imagine, but also in plenty of other films and TV shows and things like that. Spoofing not just the music, Leonard Bernstein and why can't I say his name? Stephen Sondheim, who did the lyrics. Um, the songs are iconic. America, Tonight, Tonight. It's there's just there's so much. I have to admit I had never seen the original. At least I don't recall seeing the original. Probably more than half my life ago, I had a girlfriend who was really, really into musicals, and she's like, "Here, let's all watch musicals every night." I'm like, "Oh, okay." Whenever we hung out together, it was just like, "Let's watch a musical and cuddle on the couch." Okay, sure, I'll do that. But I can't recall if we watched West Side Story. If we did, I think we did Sound of Music. I'm sure we did that. Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. Anyway, in this sense, I didn't see the original, so I don't have the two to compare to, and I realize there's going to be a lot of people who are very precious about this and go, oh well, how dare they? How dare Steven Spielberg make a remake of this classic? You know what? There's reasons, a lot of reasons why people make remakes. One, it's in this case, Steven did it because it's kind of he dedicated it to his father. I think he really loved the film, probably the original or the musical in New York City. I don't know. Um, but yeah, there's kind of sometimes you want to take these films or stories and redo them in a modern way, and certainly the Steven Spielberg stamp is all over this. Obviously, from the camera work, some continuous shots, some right up close shots, and of course he loves using that crane shot to move in and out of spots. And oh yeah, shadows. He loves using shadows to just yeah. There's lots of shadows in this, so he's pulling out all the Steven Spielberg's uh, tropes in this. Tropes is that I don't know if I want to call it tropes, but he's using all the Steven Spielberg tools in his toolbox to do this, and it's beautifully shot. There's times I kind of wonder whether the sets were real or if they were sometimes digital or if they were sets or if if they were out in the real world or not. Obviously not in New York City because where this takes place is technically where the Lincoln Center is now in New York City. In fact, that's one of the establishing shots, which is a long drop down into the city, moving around the construction sites and getting an idea of what this area looks like at a time when they're destroying communities in order to put up the Lincoln Center, which is going to be a big entertainment facility for the rich. I wonder if they did a showing of that around there. I don't know. If you don't know where that is, it's just to the west of Central Park, where Ninth becomes Columbus, right where it sort of connects with Broadway. It's up there, Midtown ish. Yeah, but but west, of course. It's an interesting story. To me, the geography is important because I love New York City and I have been there plenty of times, and it's just anything that gives me the history of New York City is fun to me. So I enjoyed this for that, but also this is a story about two kids in love with each other from warring factions for no other reason than the fact that they feel they must because turf, hatred of the other, racism. Yeah, there's a lot of racism, and it's going both ways, both directions. People just do not like the people who are not them. And in fact, there's even a song in this where one of the characters is like, "Be with one of your own." Maria, obviously, she's one of the Puerto Rican members. She's not part of the gang at all, but her brother is, and he's kind of the leader of that gang. And then there's another guy named Riff, who runs the gang, the Jets, who are the white gang, and they just go after each other for no reason. There is a big dance battle at one point, which again I think a million films and TV shows have riffed on over the years. And yeah, this is, but when it comes right down to it, I was always wondering, is it just dance fighting? Is this a little, that little piece of Thriller or Beat It? Sorry, Beat It. Because we're all, that Michael Jackson did. Because Michael Jackson obviously took from West Side Story when he made the Beat It video. Come on, it's obvious. I'm just thinking of that now. Anyway, it's so yeah, you get all this dancing, you get all this. It's fantastic, classic, historic music, and you think, oh well, maybe they changed it up, or maybe they used a whole different soundtrack. No, if you're worried about that, they keep all the songs. They might have even added one or two. In this case, there's a character named Valentina, and I don't know if I couldn't find it in the credits if there was a Valentina in the original, but they may have created this role specifically for this actor because that actor is Rita Moreno. Rita Moreno in the original film from 1961 played Anita, and she is the girlfriend of Bernardo, the leader of the Sharks, and she lives there with Maria. Maria is Bernardo's sister, and so she's a big part of this. She doesn't play first. She doesn't play lead because Maria is the lead, but sometimes the juicier roles tend to be the breakout roles tend to also be the backups. So I mean, back in the original one, there wasn't a ton. I don't think there was a ton of Latino actors in the cast. I mean, Natalie Wood's playing Maria. I don't know if she's really Latina. So but Anita was played by Rita Moreno. And if you don't know that name, well, I'm sorry for you, because Rita Moreno is an icon of stage and screen and everything else. I knew her first. My formative years, when I was a little guy, I first saw her on Sesame Street and the Electric Company and things like that. And that's she's one of the first human beings I saw on a television and connected with, and she was just always wonderful. And realizing she had a much storied, much more storied history than my little children's show that I grew up with. So it's neat to see her in this film playing Valentina. She's the one who runs a store that where she has hired Tony to work for her, and regardless of racial differences, and she sort of straddles both worlds. And to some of the other Puerto Ricans, they find her to be a bit of a traitor, but she also is sort of this neutral ground for some people. And you see where she comes into play. She plays a fairly prominent supporting role in this, and it's she gets her own song, which I don't know if it's new or not. Again, I can't compare, but I think anybody who loves the original should absolutely check this out if you haven't already. I mean, imagine if you're already like a huge mega West Side Story fan. You probably saw this and because you wanted to, and you were going to crap all over it no matter what, because it's never going to measure up to the thing you loved for all your life. But you know what? There's so many great things in this. Anita, played by Ariana DeBose, she's fantastic. She just jumps out of the screen. She plays the old Rita Moreno role, and she just steals the screen whenever she's on it. She's fantastic. And yeah, all the dancing, choreography, it's very much a Broadway musical style performance. Yeah, it's you can't go wrong with the music. Can't complain about the music whatsoever. The dancing and the action, there's humor in this, but again, like I said, this is very much a tragedy because you're dealing with real issues, poor versus the rich, and in the way they are experiencing things as explaining their circumstances, but it's very much also their own built-in preconceptions of people who aren't them, people who are not part of their own community, and that's expressed in song and in violence, and it doesn't turn out well for a whole lot of them. So yeah, going to this, it's when it's big and beautiful and bombastic and colorful, and it's amazing. It's gorgeous. At the same time, there's a you have to realize this is not going to end well for some people. It's a very tragic romance. So I liked it a lot. I liked it a lot. I didn't expect to like it, and my only complaint is I think it felt like it was a little long. It could have been maybe 30 minutes shorter. I don't know. It's maybe I don't know. Maybe I could be wrong. I don't know how long the original was, but it's a fantastic production of all the songs you love and probably some new ones, and gives it kind of just a new look at something that is very familiar to a lot of people who love musicals, who love West Side Story, and see a number of reflections of our modern era, even still after 60 years and more since before the original film was released. But yeah, I say check it out. It's the original, by the way, 1961's version is not on Disney Plus. This is a 20th Century Fox acquisition, so that was brought in almost immediately after release and put on Disney Plus. There's also a 2020 documentary special about this that is not on my list, but I'm going to add it for the next quarter, and we'll eventually see it at some point. But yeah, I say definitely check it out if you're into musicals. If you're not, you don't have to watch this. It's not going to do anything. It's not going to be like, I don't think it's going to necessarily give you a revelation and go, oh my gosh, musicals are great. It's not going to do that for you. But anyway, let's pick tomorrow's episode.
423.
423. Okay, yeah, take your time there. You know what? Not everything is made for everybody. That's one of the things I've learned from watching all these Disney Plus things for almost 3 years now. We're coming up on 3 years total of Disney Plus. It's been around for 3 years, coming up in a few days. Uh, I've learned that not everything is made for me, and that's all right. It's not. A lot of this stuff is made for kids. I'm not a kid anymore. And that's okay. Oh, okay. Oh, we got another movie. All right, here we go. 423, right? I'm gonna double check that just to be sure again, because I was prattling on there. All right, next movie we're gonna see is The Bears and I. Oh, I don't know what that is. I'm assuming it involves bears. Whether it's live action or animated, I do not know. I know there's a bunch of stuff involving bears, not the least of which is Winnie the Pooh, but we've seen pretty much almost all the Winnie the Pooh stuff so far. Go back on all the old episodes. There's so much Winnie the Pooh. Anyway, the next thing we're watching is The Bears and I on the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. I'll see you back here tomorrow with that.